Hi everyone. So today on Conversations with Therapists, we're sitting down with Anna Grinshpun, who is a licensed clinical professional counselor in Evanston, Illinois. And we're going to be talking about the work that she does with immigrants specifically and mental health evaluations. And yeah, Anna, I just wanted you to introduce yourself before we get started.
So my name is Anna Grinshpun, and I have a private practice in Evanston, Illinois. I work with couples, families, adults, doing mental health counseling, and I also do mental health evaluations for people with immigration cases.
So yeah, I wanted to ask you first off, can you tell us more about sort of the work that you do, the mental health work that you do with new immigrants and what that looks like?
So with immigrants, I do mental health evaluations. Usually my clients are people that are applying for asylum, or they are people who have an immigration case under the Violence Against Women Act or VAWA. And another group that I work with frequently are people that have extreme hardship immigration cases. So in those cases, I work not with the immigrant so much, but with a US citizen or legal resident who is trying to prove that it would be an extreme hardship for them if their immigrant spouse was to be deported.
Okay. What issues do you find new immigrants face when needing to obtain a mental health assessment?
So the issues that people face tend to be specific to the country that they're from. For example, I don't know if many people, especially, I don't know, you're in Israel, I'm here in the States. I don't think that most Americans know or are aware of the issues faced by Central Asian women, especially from Kyrgyzstan.
Yes.
I don't even know if a lot of Americans know where Kyrgyzstan is, but it is a country in Central Asia, and I've worked with a lot of women who are seeking asylum from Kyrgyzstan. And there's a huge problem there with something called bride kidnapping, which is basically forced marriage. I've never seen it reported in the news. I've never heard people talking about it. So it leads me to think that the average person is completely unaware of what's going on over there.
Yeah. And I guess like this leads into the next question as well. It's like, how does PTSD come into play, I guess, during this time period when people are getting these assessments, and how can people feel supported? Because I'm sure that it's not just the people from Kurdistan or the women from Kurdistan. I'm sure that a lot of people who are seeking asylum have traumatic experiences that they have to sort of go through and deal with.
Oh yeah, definitely. People who are seeking asylum, I would say they pretty much all have PTSD, because the reason that they're seeking asylum is because they've been abused, persecuted, they've had life or death situations. So it's not surprising that they have symptoms of PTSD. And how can they feel supported? Well, during the interview process, because I'm a licensed therapist, I think I'm in a very good position to help people feel supported, because I've been trained to interview people in a way in which makes them feel supported.
Yeah.
So I usually start out the interview by letting the client know that I'm going to be asking some very sensitive questions, and that I understand that they're going to have to talk about things that are difficult to talk about, but for them to just know that I understand that this is all being done to help them be able to stay in the country, and that I'm not judging them. And I also, if I see somebody getting extremely emotional and it seems like they need a break during the interview, then I ask them if they would like to take a break, if they want a bottle of water, anything like that to make them feel more comfortable.
That actually raises a question for me that I'm going to ask out of curiosity from myself. Like, is there ever a language barrier that is sort of there while you're trying to do the interview? And like, how do you deal with that?
Oh, okay, good question. So I do speak Russian. So that has been very helpful.
Yeah.
Since pretty much everyone from Central Asia, not just Central Asia, but I've also interviewed people from Ukraine, Russia. A huge part of the world speaks Russian because they were occupied under Soviet rule for people who were around when the Soviet Union was around. So the fact that I can speak Russian, I'm not the best Russian speaker, but I do speak Russian and I understand it completely. So that's extremely helpful, especially with the population that I work with the most.
Yeah.
And then I would say for people from other countries, there's a lot of countries that are English speaking, like Nigeria, India, Pakistan. Not everybody speaks English, but a lot of people speak English, so it ends up not being a problem.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that about like the Central Asian countries speak Russian.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And then I guess like to sort of follow into that, what additional support can be offered to people who, I guess, feel lonely or isolated after they move to the US? I think like there's the conversation about the evaluations themselves, and then there's like as people progress and have their lives, you know, begin in a new place, like how can people feel supported?
Well, first of all, by the time I speak with the immigrants who are my clients, they've already, it's not like they've just arrived in the country. They've already had time to acclimate. And I've actually learned about a lot of resources from my clients.
Wow.
There's a lot of community centers, specifically for people from specific parts of the world. And that's how I learned about it from my clients.
Oh, that's so
There-
interesting also that like
Yeah.
they provide the resources because they find what works.
Right. Yeah, so I learned from them as well.
Yeah.
I do, and I guess I could mention his name.
Okay.
I do work closely with an immigration lawyer. His name is Alan Taft.
Okay.
He's also in Evanston, Illinois. He's extremely ethical and caring, and it's a pleasure working with him.
I feel like you get such a interesting look into so many different people's lives from so many different backgrounds. And it's really incredible because I think that like you're part of the process for people to begin their new lives, and I think that's really amazing. And yeah, I think that's all we have for today. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I just wanted to say it feels so good that someone's actually interested in this. I think most people are unaware that this service even exists because most people don't need it, obviously.
Yeah, but I think if more people were aware, more people would be interested, and that's why it's so great to have you on. Like that's why I was thinking, you know, like this would be great, because there's so many people's stories that I think deserve to be heard. And this is like the stepping stone to that. I've even learned, just from having this conversation. So it's really
Oh,
amazing.
great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.